Hello everybody, welcome back to another video. I'm hoping you guys are all having a fantastic day. And I actually am not having a bad day. Despite, what's happening, despite the negative things that have occurred, obviously I've mentioned it on this channel. I actually am feeling perfectly fine. We just gotta, you just gotta power through it. And I just came to realize that what happened to me is, it's not bad at all. People are suffering with much greater things. And I'm blessed the way it is. Thankfully, this is not happening in, say, July, September, um, when the period is more busy. So I thank God for that. And another thing I'd like to mention is, this is all getting a little bit repetitive, but I promise I'll try to reduce this on other videos. But if you'd like to support this channel, you could do so by subscribing, and that just basically shows me that you like this channel and you are engaging with it, and just gives me a little gauge of whether that you like it or not. You could also become a patron, since obviously I got demonetized, so that means I can't earn anything off this. Which, I'm not desperate. I don't need this money. I'm not completely dependent on this. But I was planning to save up for college for my future education. But this is only 30 days, so hopefully this will stop. They'll remonetize my channel. But if you'd like to make a donation, you could do so. It's a link in the description box below. So thank you for that. Okay, so moving on with the video today, I'm recording this as of 10:38 p.m. Wednesday, March 6th. Tomorrow I will not be able to record a video. I have a concert. I actually sing in a choir. As weird as that sounds, I do, and it's really, I really find it pleasing. So I have a concert tomorrow, so I won't be able to record a video. That's why I'm recording it today in the evening. But it's not necessarily about the storm. It's more about the cold weather that will be going on, and maybe not the cold weather, just like what's coming up with the pattern. So a long range outlook. So let's just dive right into this. So this is the newest model run. I'm not going to go over the storm in particular. There's a lot of activity going on. I won't be going over that in detail. I'll just briefly scan over it. So system going on in the west right now. There's a first wave comes out right there, diminishes, dissipates fairly quickly. Does maybe intensifies a little bit around Ohio Valley, maybe 1 to 2 inches. That's what I'm saying, max. A little bit more as you get here in Nebraska, South Dakota, right in the front range of the Rockies, maybe 4 or 5 inches, more, maybe 6. Then we see this big storm come out, leaves several inches of snow in the plains, rain in the south, or I should say rain up in the Midwest, Ohio Valley, and then severe weather potentially in the south, which could be very concerning. I may need to make a video on that separately. We'll see how things roll along and how much time I have. And then we see another system that doesn't look to be completely as impactful for the west as this one was. Kind of, I like to think of it as it kind of goes through those passages, goes through those valleys, those mountains, and doesn't really produce much. But then once it goes out here, it gets access to the Gulf of Mexico moisture. It goes absolutely berserk. I mean, look at this. It spins up here, spins counterclockwise, drags up all this moisture from Gulf of Mexico. This one could be maybe even more powerful. Earlier they were showing a very strong system. Now not as strong, but this is still very far out. This is almost a week out. So this could change 1,000 times, so don't get deceived by this. And this system will be impactful, will be strong if it does decide to form. That passes through, and then we see maybe another little wave of energy developing and impacting the northeast, but mainly rain for the northeast. But you could see that these I don't know how good of the definition is on this thing, but we see a 540 right here. The 540 line right here in the central Ohio Valley, Ozarks, the Texarkana area. That is the 32-degree line. That is fairly far south in mid-March. I mean, many of these locations should be above freezing, if not in the warmer range, 50s and 60s in the south especially. But the cold temperatures will be going on and on. This is as far out as it goes. So let's go use the older model run, and we see that very chilly conditions. And I'm not buying this, that snow here in Alabama, Mississippi, and maybe Georgia. That's most likely not gonna happen. The chances of that are extremely low. It just goes to show you though that we could be definitely seeing more snow for the north. And with these systems, I mean, look at this. This is a perfect flow for Alberta Clippers as well. So I don't have a drawing tool yet. I'm trying to get my hands on one, so I do apologize about that. But in a very long range, what we're looking at is potentially a warmer west and maybe a cooler east into the south. And what this does is, if you see these red and blue lines, they form up a baroclinic zone. These two air masses, they basically allow storms to go right through here. At least the ones that go from the north. The ones that go from the south just stay along the south and can't really move up here. But notice how this storm goes. It starts as this is just very far out. I'm not diving into the details of the storm. I'm more on a track of showing you what these storms will look like if they decide to form. So we see way out here in the ocean, way out here in the Pacific Ocean by Hawaii, we see the jet stream buckle, and we see the storms ride way up here into Alaska, and then they dive back down here, much weaker, much they have been absolutely weakened by the mountains, by the land, and you can see they're very, very weak. But riding this baroclinic zone, they could strengthen over here, especially if the jet stream slows down over here. That's usually where the jet stream is the slowest, right at the bottom, and it starts speeding up when it's on the up or the downside, kind of like a roller coaster. It's the fastest when it's going like that. And we see the storm maybe potentially intensifying into a big system. Again, this system is very far out, and probably the next model run will be showing completely something different. It's just I wanted to mention that if this pattern does set up, cold in the east, warm in the west, we could be seeing some of these setups of systems where we see weak Alberta Clipper intensifies into a strong storm. Maybe we could even see a nor'easter. It's late March at this point, March 20th, mid to late March. Typically, we don't see snowstorms this late. However, is it possible? Definitely still possible in this time of the year. So this is the GFS, and if you go to the FV3 GFS, it's showing a very similar thing. Let's go out to our the previous model run, and let's see this. Maybe not showing as much warmth in the west, but definitely still showing that pattern. You can see a warming trend in the west and then a cooler in the east. But this could be very, very stubborn cold air. It might not want to move from the east for a while. If you look at the 6 to 10 day outlook, it's almost the reverse. We see cold in the west and warm in the east, and this will be to do with the warm or with the big storms riding up. And again, through this baroclinic zone right here, they go through here, and they bring a warm air up with them, and behind them they bring cold, chilly air from Canada, and that's where the snow will fall. So that's what the pattern is for a 6 to 10 day outlook. Precipitation, look at that, very above average with these storms, and that's actually ridiculously above average. We often don't see that they're so confident in it being above average. 80%, that's a warning, basically telling you be alert, because this is typically not given by the National or by the Climate Prediction Center, this is what it is. So this may be, an indicator of big storms, flooding, and maybe a lot of snow if it's cold enough, which maybe will be with this cold air. And then we go to 8 to 14 day outlook. You can see it's in this transition period. This is very far out. This is March 14th through 20th. So the Climate Prediction Center is not going to be by no means 100% right. I would be surprised if they're even close to being right, because sometimes, it's just sometimes I don't want to get my channel demonetized. No, I was kidding, but I just don't really want to have beef with them. But sometimes they definitely are a little bit off, and but you notice how this cold air pushed to the east from this phase right here. So I think that this cold air will be even further to the east, and we'll start seeing that that jet stream dip down, and we could see that cold air into March for the eastern half of the country, but warmer in the west. And then maybe a little bit drying out, hopefully, because we've been seeing a very wet pattern so far. So let's just go to a different model, the Canadian model, because sometimes people complain why I'm using only the GFS. Well, the GFS is fairly good for pattern recognition. In my mind, I like using it because it gives you a fairly good idea of pattern. The Canadian model, not so much. I'll still show you it, but let's just go through this. So you can see they're showing cold air, warm air with the storm is doing a fairly good job showing the cold air in the west, just a little bit too amplified in my opinion. I think that these colors are a little bit over exaggerated. I don't think it'll be -12 or -16 or -20 degrees below average. That would be a little bit alarming. But it does show this cold air in the west and the warm air in the east, and then it slowly starts transitioning. You can see pushing it out, but it doesn't go far enough to really get the oomph of this pattern, get I guess the meaning of this pattern. So this is the ECMWF, which is the European model. Let's go to lower dynamics. Actually, no, I want to go to 500 millibar anomalies, and it basically shows us where the troughs and ridges will form. So again, we just came from a bitter cold polar vortex in March. It dropped temperatures way below normal. Then we see things warming up with these storms, cool air in the west. And then the European model, again, doesn't go as far out as the GFS, but it's still showing that cold air trying to push towards the east and maybe potentially setting up a pattern. You can see it even right here, the lines centering right across here, and this would be a perfect area for storms to just zoom by, because where these lines get closer together, the winds are stronger and these storms tend to zoom past. So that's just what the pattern holds for us. A quick summary. I think that it will be cold in the west for the next couple of days, maybe 6 to 10 days, up to 10 days I should say. Cold in the west, warmer in the east, fairly above average for much of the country with big storms. Then we'll transition into more of a east cold pattern and the west warm. And from then on, after that, I think we'll start seeing spring, and we'll start seeing really warm temperatures fairly soon. I mean, by the time that ends, it will be already almost April, so it's about time. So that's basically it, guys. I know I wasted about 2.5 minutes of the video in the beginning talking about, well, you could call it wasting. I actually like talking to you guys, not even about weather, just in general connecting with you. So I apologize if I didn't cover too much weather in this video. I just felt like if I needed to address some issues, again, about the demonetization and potentially supporting me by going on Patreon, maybe subscribing, and I love you guys. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you all guys in the next episode. See ya.